Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Thursday, March 29th, 2023. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in today's video. We're going to be doing one of these rundown videos. We'll talk about how markets closed up yesterday, how crypto finished up the day. Crypto's most major coins up at least 5% overnight. XRP, Ripple, up over 15% overnight. We're going to be taking a look at the real estate and the housing market and how unaffordable home ownership is right now. I'm going to be talking about a house that I put an offer on back at the end of summer in 2020. And today that house is up $175,000. Up over 64% in just about 2 years. A lot of other stories we're going to be talking about in today's video. I actually am a little bit short on time today, so I'm actually driving right now. I don't have my notes in front of me, but we're going to talk about a couple things kind of leading up into the video, and I'm going to be pulling over, having my coffee at this park here in a minute, and we'll be able to kind of go through our notes and discuss the rest of the video. Before we hop in here, let's give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is SporStore.com, and I've been messing up all these sponsorship things lately, tripping over my words. SporStore.com. You can check out the link in the description box below. They sell mushroom growing supplies. If you're looking to grow lion's mane mushrooms, pink oyster mushrooms, golden oyster mushrooms, even morel mushrooms. They sell mushroom spores and mushroom growing supplies. And if you are into microscopy or examining things under a microscope, examining mushroom spores under a microscope, they also sell psilocybin mushroom spores. Things like B+ mushrooms, golden teachers, things like that. They offer fast shipping and 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. So link will be in the description box below. Check them out, SporStore.com. Let's kind of get into the markets yesterday. Yesterday, the Dow closed down just slightly, 0.12%. NASDAQ closed down 0.58%, and the S&P 500 closed down 0.16%. I noticed dividend stocks are up big right now. That's really kind of the only stocks that I'm interested in, dividend ETFs and dividend stocks. I know JEPI was up pretty big over the past couple days. Stocks like BTI, British American Tobacco, Philip Morris, MO, Altria, a lot of these stocks pay 6%, 8%, even 9% dividends. Those stocks are doing well, but, rest of the market's kind of trading flat. And it's kind of surprising that the market hasn't cratered with Deutsche Bank potentially failing, just on the heels of Silicon Valley Bank going under, First Republic Bank going under, Signature Bank, and the entire banking system kind of on the brink of collapse. I saw there was an interesting video today from Meet Kevin titled "The End of America," and he kind of talked about that same survey that I talked about yesterday, where this survey had looked at things like how important are these certain values to you, and it looked at things like patriotism, hard work, money, community involvement, and across the board, how people, the level of importance people put on things like having a family, having kids, patriotism, religion. Most of these areas were nearly halved in importance. Well, the only thing that actually increased in importance was money. And I thought that was kind of interesting and kind of eye-opening. And if you look at the world today, these numbers we're looking at a survey from 1998 versus survey, today in 2023. And on the surface, on paper, it looks like maybe the world would be a better place, right? Like we got rid of the Washington Redskins football team because that maybe hurt people's feelings. We got rid of Aunt Jemima. It's now the Pearl Milling Baking Company. Trans people are in every movie and TV show. We got men having babies in all the Netflix shows. On paper, we live in a world that's more open and inviting and friendly to all people, which, in theory should be a good thing. But do you think the world is a better place today than it was in 1998? We seem less divided. We seem very hateful. There was that Nashville shooting the other day, and it's kind of turned into a big, trans versus non-trans thing. A lot of people are more concerned with the shooter being quote unquote dead named than they are with these dead kids. You have trans people, some trans people on Reddit and Twitter and some of these things actually cheering it on. This person was treated poorly at this school, and that's why they went back and shot it up. And that the trans person is the real victim here. I mean, that's a level of divisiveness, and that's a level of divide that we have between people. And I've talked this to death But back in, 2010 or thereabouts, during the whole Occupy Wall Street movement, pretty much all people, gay, lesbian, trans, black people, white people, Asian people, pretty much everybody came together and said, we're not each other's enemies. The 1% is essentially our enemy. And ever since then, there's been a media barrage of articles and stories trying to stir up divisiveness between gay, not gay, trans, not trans, black versus white, Asian, black on Asian crime. Ever since then, the media has been running an overdrive, trying to get people to forget about the fact that billionaires and trillionaires are even more wealthy than they were, while Americans are even poorer than they've ever been. The media wants people to forget about that and focus on the fact that, maybe a trans boy to girl is going to wrestle your kid, and that's the end of the world. That's just kind of interesting. Meet Kevin had an interesting story titled "The End of America," and I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's talk a little bit about real estate. So boomers have overtaken millennials as the largest home buying group. Boomers are retiring. They're now that they don't have to be near city centers or near their work, they're retiring to other more desirable areas of the country. A lot of boomers are relocating to be near grandkids. Boomers obviously have more savings. They also have more equity in their homes, and they're really the only ones who can afford homes right now. Most millennials and Gen Zers and Zillennials can't afford homes right now. And just to kind of give you an idea of how unaffordable homes are right now, and this is not even taking interest rates into consideration. Most people's mortgage, if you bought today versus buying 2 years ago, your mortgage payment is probably twice what it would have been. On say a $350,000 home, maybe you would have had a $1,500 payment. Now you're going to have a $3,000 or a $3,200 payment just based on mortgage rates alone. But let's look at home prices. So back in January of 2020, this is before the Mexican beer cough even kicked off. Me and my girlfriend had flown down to Tampa, and we were looking for homes in St. Pete's Beach, Gulfport, and even kind of Sarasota, but primarily like St. Pete. And there was, I wound up getting beat out on a number of homes, but there was a home, it was just a short bike ride away from Madeira Beach. They were asking $315,000 for it. Nice home, pool home, had the bird cage over the pool, huge half-acre backyard, which is kind of rare in that area. Had a big outbuilding with power for, doing projects, woodworking, whatever else. I mean, amazing home. $315,000, and this was in probably July, August of 2020. I wound up putting in a cash offer of $315,000. I actually wound up getting beat out by a financed offer of $317,000, which is like unheard of. I think today almost anybody would take a cash offer over a financed offer, since so many people are backing out of home purchases and so many loans are falling through, and not all homes are getting appraised for the value that they're selling for. But I wound up getting beaten out by $2,000 cash offer versus a financed offer. And it was kind of funny. I actually got a call from my realtor about a week later, and he said that it looks like the deal might fall through. There's about $7,000 in electrical work that needs to be done. Sellers don't want to pay for it. Buyers don't want to pay for it. Would you be interested in, being a backup offer and buying a home? And I said, absolutely. Well, they wound up working it out. I didn't get to buy the home, but today, maybe not less than, probably about 2 years later today, that home that I was going to buy for $315,000 back in 2020, that home today is going for $390,000. I apologize, $490,000. That's a 64% increase in 2 years, $175,000 increase in 2 years. Think about how crazy that is. And here's one thing about buying a home. If you can have high interest rates, you can have high prices, but you can't have high interest rates and high prices at the same time. And I think what a lot of people are wondering about who are buying right now, if you buy a home today, if interest rates come down, you can refinance and you could potentially lower your payment hundreds of dollars, even over $1,000 with lower interest rates. I wouldn't count on interest rates coming down, but that's a possibility. But if you buy this home that I just referenced for $490,000 today, and the bank run continues, job losses continue, we wind up going into a fairly severe recession, and that house winds up losing that $175,000 in price appreciation that it saw over the past 2 years. You have a mortgage for $490,000. Maybe you put down 5%, whatever. Okay, you got a mortgage for $475,000, and now your home is worth, it doesn't even have to go back to $315,000, but now your home's worth, we'll say $350,000. If you want to move out of that home, you're going to have to come up with $100,000 plus to pay off the difference. or you're going to have to rent the home so that you can move or relocate. And chances are you're not going to be able to rent it for enough to cover your nut. We talked about in a video the other day how year over year the cost of home ownership has appreciated about 20%, whereas rents have only appreciated about 6%. So unless rents really catch up, you're not going to be able to cover your nut. You're going to be losing hundreds of dollars, maybe even $1,000 a month on what your mortgage is versus what you can rent it for, and you are essentially stuck in that home. We also talked in yesterday's video about how, what was it? We talked about in yesterday's video about how with the loss of a lot of these tech jobs, that could hurt a lot of these markets that really got overinflated during lockdowns and the Mexican beer cough. So let's kind of move on. There's a Senate bill going through right now. I think this is kind of part of the movement to ban TikTok. It's Senate Bill S-656, and it would give Americans potentially 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine for using a VPN to access banned apps, right? So it starts as we're going to go after TikTok, and then it winds up basically being if you use a VPN to access a site or an app that the government doesn't want you to access, you could wind up facing 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Now, they're saying apps put out by countries like China, Venezuela, and North Korea, among others. But in theory, if TikTok were banned and a teen tried to use a VPN to access TikTok, they could potentially wind up facing 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Potentially same thing for accessing apps like Binance or KuCoin based out of China as well. It's not clear whether this is specific to like government apps or government actors or private companies like TikTok or Binance or KuCoin, but it seems like kind of a huge overreach. I'm not super familiar with that story, so if you guys know more about that one, drop a comment down below, let me know. You guys may or may not have seen this video. It's an absolutely brutal video. There was a guy with his wife and toddler at a Starbucks in Vancouver, just getting a bite to eat, getting some coffee, and apparently a guy was vaping, and he had asked the guy, could you not vape near my child? The guy freaked out. The guy wound up stabbing, and it was kind of unclear to see whether he was stabbed in the neck or the stomach. I did see in the video he was holding his stomach. But there is just, literally from the second he was stabbed to a fraction of a second later, the entire ground was covered in blood. There was blood spraying everywhere. And this man who stabbed him just kind of calmly walked into the store, walked back into the Starbucks. There was a man sitting there drinking coffee, didn't even flinch, just went about sipping his coffee. And the guy who was more interested in videoing instead of helping this guy was shouting in the background, "Oh my gosh, he was stabbed, he's dead, oh my gosh," right in front of the guy's wife. And, that's where society is today. You ask somebody to stop vaping near your kid, and they shank you in the gut. And everybody around just continues drinking their coffee or videoing you so that they can upload it to TikTok. Pretty crazy. That's the state of the world today. Patrick Bet-David and the Valuetainment podcast. I saw a video he had yesterday. The title of the video was "Employees Have Lost Their Leverage." He and his cast kind of went on to say that employees no longer have the ability to make demands, to insist on working from home. He kind of referenced how 30,000 Amazon employees had sent a petition or a letter to Andy Jassy and Amazon saying that they insisted they'd be able to continue working from home. And Amazon said, sorry, we appreciate you guys coordinating and the teamwork it took to put this 30,000 person petition together. But no, you're going to have to come back into the office. We talked yesterday about how Disney and ESPN both want people back in the office 4 to 5 days a week. And what we're starting to see employees wind up losing their power. And one thing that's interesting, whether we're talking about the Mexican beer cough or other issues, you often see these compilations of news clips where like 20 different news channels all say the same exact thing with the same exact messaging and the same exact buzzword, and it's very coordinated, right? If you love your grandma, it's important you run out and get your booster. This is Jim from Channel 7. If you love your grandma, you'll run out and get your booster. This is Tony from Channel 2. If you love your grandma, you kind of see this coordinated messaging. Well, it's pretty clear that these companies and CEOs who are calling people back into the office, whether it be Zuckerberg, Salesforce, Andy Jassy at Amazon, they all got together and collaborated on their messaging. Within a period of about 72 hours, they all came out and said it's incredibly important to get people back into the office. The economy is kind of turning downward. We need to really buckle down and be more efficient, and we find that working in the office leads to increased collaboration, inventing, and the fostering of relationships. And you heard one CEO after the other, and all these companies kind of put out the same messaging. And I think you're going to see that continue to happen. You're going to see more companies get on board with this. There's going to be less work from home jobs, so that when people wind up being called back into the office and think about leaving their job, there's not necessarily very many more work from home jobs to run back out to. No, I like Patrick Bet-David. I like some of his kind of more traditional and conservative views on issues. I like that he's pro-business, but I also think sometimes he maybe goes a little bit too far. Back during the Mexican Beer Cough, he was telling people, when the labor market was really slanted towards employees, he was telling people, don't take advantage of this situation, don't ask for a raise, just keep working for the same amount of money, just keep working hard, you'll eventually be rewarded. The idea that a company is going to reward you down the line is crazy. You have to look out for number one, you have to look out for yourself, and Patrick Bet-David telling people not to push for a raise when they actually have some leverage in their corner, in my opinion, was kind of stupid. It's one thing if you're going back to your employer every month demanding more money, and really kind of raking them over the coals because they're short-staffed. That's one thing that is maybe a little bit abusive. But, if you work hard, if you're not paid what you're worth, there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for a raise and doing so at a time when you have a little bit more leverage in your corner. I thought this was an interesting stat. Fewer than 50 Americans, I forget where I saw this one, but fewer than 50% of Americans, if given 24 hours, could produce $2,500 in cash. In all honesty, I'm kind of surprised that number isn't a little bit lower even. We constantly hear about, over 50% of Americans are living paycheck. What is it? 68% of Americans now are living paycheck to paycheck. Even people earning six figures. Most people don't have $400 for an emergency. So I'm actually kind of shocked that even 50% of Americans could pull together $2,500 in cash if they had to. Last week we talked about how even lower end stores, budget stores, bargain stores like Aldi and Walmart are closing stores across the country. Goldman Sachs said sentiment is quickly turning negative on the U.S. consumer. At the end of February, we had a reduction in SNAP benefits for people on food assistance. On average, people lost about $92 per month, though some families did lose upwards of $200 or more per month in food benefits this year. A lot of the beer cough measures have been kind of faded out, so people's tax returns are going to be lower. And we have an all-time high of the amount of revolving consumer credit. At the end of the student loan moratorium, at the end of the student debt moratorium, which payments could be resuming in July or August. Supreme Court's going to give their ruling at that point. It'll be interesting to see if I guess we're going to touch on that in kind of the next section here. But it'll be interesting to see if what the Supreme Court winds up saying, and then will they try to continue pushing the student loan payment pause on down the line. I don't know that they can even push it on down the line, but obviously no politician, no political party wants to be the one to bring back, for 20 million Americans to bring back a $400 payment a month, a $600 payment a month, a $1,000 payment per month. We got a Bloomberg article: when student loan payments resume, households will feel the pinch. The resumption of required payments later this year will likely strain household budgets and reduce consumer spending, according to the firm. So this could actually be good for bringing down inflation. But again, does any president, does any politician want to be the one responsible for bringing back student loan payments? I thought this was kind of interesting. The percent of buy now, pay later payments involving groceries grew 40% in the first 2 months of 2023. Before, somebody might use buy now, pay later to buy a video game system or a new video game or an outfit. But what does that say about the economy, that people are having to use buy now, pay later just to put food in their bellies, just to buy groceries? And I think even Domino's Pizza and some fast food restaurants are offering buy now, pay later. What state is the economy in if you need to use buy now, pay later to split a $9, Domino's hoagie sandwich into 4 payments, or a couple Domino's pizzas, $15 payment into 4 payments? How bad is the economy if people are needing to use buy now, pay later to buy groceries or fast food? CNBC article: Apple launches its app. Continuing on a tune of buy now, pay later. CNBC article: Apple launches its buy now, pay later service on Tuesday. It introduced Apple Pay Later, which will allow users to split their purchases into 4 payments spread over the course of 6 weeks. Apple Pay Later users will be able to manage and track and repay their loans through their Apple Wallet, the company said in a press release on Tuesday. Individuals will be able to pay for Apple, will be able to apply for Apple Pay Later loans of between $50 and $1,000 and use them for in-app and online purchases made through merchants who accept Apple Pay. So if you have a Shopify store, WooCommerce store, e-commerce store of any type, and you want to be able to take advantage of the Apple Buy Now Pay Later service, you're going to need to accept Apple Pay. This was kind of shocking. Goldman Sachs says that AI could cause 300 million people to lose their jobs across the USA and Europe over the coming years. And kind of on the tune of AI and automation, Klarna announced its integration with ChatGPT to roll out a personalized shopping experience that provides product recommendations when users ask for shopping advice, inspiration, and product links via their search and compare tool. Users can ask things like, I have $150, which headphones can I afford, and receive a selection of items relevant to their request. Did Microsoft just become the biggest player in e-commerce search and discovery? Talk about a slow play. And this is kind of crazy. Talk about AI taking jobs, right? There's certain jobs that we expect AI to take. But Levi Strauss & Company announced a new partnership with LaLaLand.ai to supplement human models later this year with AI-generated models. LaLaLand utilizes AI to enable fashion brands to use realistic models of every body type, age, size, skin tone to create more inclusive, personal, and sustainable shopping experiences. So even potentially models are going to lose their jobs to AI. And if you guys want to see kind of a creepy site, do a Google search for, I believe the website is thispersondoesn'texist.com, but just do a Google search for This Person Doesn't Exist. You'll find the website, and you can just click through image after image after image of basically AI-created images of people who aren't actually real humans. Pinterest is testing a way of letting customers shop and purchase items directly in the app. YouTube recently hit a 100,000 shops milestone. 100,000 YouTube channels, YouTube accounts are now linked to an external shop. And Instagram has begun putting ads in search results. We got Walmart has laid off hundreds of workers at e-commerce facilities in Pedricktown, New Jersey, Fort Worth, Texas, Chino, California, Davenport, Florida, and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Walmart did not comment on whether it's downsizing its fulfillment center capacity because of plans to fulfill more orders from stores, or because it anticipates fewer online orders from customers. And this is kind of crazy, and I think this is very, very telling about the state of the economy as well, right? We talked about how this past Black Friday, I stopped in at a Walmart store. Walmart was absolutely dead, and kind of the narrative from the media was, it's not that people aren't shopping, more people are just shopping online, and we're likely going to see more brick and mortar retailers close, because why have the expenses, why deal with the employees to keep these stores open when everybody is shopping online anyways? But apparently Walmart is now shutting down e-commerce fulfillment centers as well, and Walmart is a staple for many Americans, right? So it's a pretty bad look if Walmart is shutting down stores. I actually had a bunch more news. We'll push these stories back until tomorrow because nothing's super pressing, but I actually got to get running. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. As always, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything and everything we've discussed in today's video. So drop those down below. Be sure to visit the sponsor of today's video, sporestore.com. Link in the description box below. And if you guys are not subscribed to the channel and you want to get these daily videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you on tomorrow's video. Peace. I'm out.